Mr. President, we so appreciate you giving us an hour of your time. I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner, a first question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country. Including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money, they were stone cold broke, and I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said, you can't do it with Zoom. Well, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late, just so we understand. I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something was wrong.
Mr. President, I would love if you can answer the question on your rhetoric and why you believe that black voters should trust you with another 4 years.
I have been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the Voting Rights Act?
And for you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work, in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace.
Let me just ask a follow-up, sir, and then we'll move on to other questions here. Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me a
literally
definition
the words
then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question, a very direct question.
Define it for me, if you would.
I just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much, and she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn, and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that she is...
I think somebody should look into that, too, when you continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct...
Be dead honest with you people. I think it's time to let the men talk. It's like, you ever watched a movie before called Head of State, Chris Rock? Comes the first black president, the alderman from D.C. They had this guy who was a Army veteran, 8 years vice president, Sharon Stone's cousin, refused to debate until the day before the election because they kept putting pressure on him. And he just lost the debate. in theory. They wasn't saying shit. I think Donald Trump is in that kind of mode right now. He thought he gonna go up against Joe Biden. Biden gonna sleepily walk his ass down and probably die before the election. That's probably what Trump was thinking. But now that he's actually going against somebody else, it don't even matter who the hell it is. Somebody under the age of 60. He's actually breaking his the wall. The whole Sigma male bullshit that's been pushed to everybody the last couple of years. Trump's the ultimate Sigma. He's the ultimate alpha, or whatever you want to call that shit, right? He's that guy. That's what they've been pushing. Whenever you have a woman interviewing him, particularly a woman of color interviewing him, he does not know how to respond. So they don't know what way to respond or attack Kamala. Really? Kamala was the African wrestler back in the 80s. You see where it's going? See that link? Was an African wrestler, WWF at the time, came out there with the skulls and all this. That was Kamala. So anyway, they don't know how to attack Kamala, Miss Harris, if you will. So they tried everything. Well, she's not totally tough on crime, even though you have a convicted felon as the person who she's running against. So they couldn't really use the crime thing because she was a prosecutor and a district attorney and a AG. Even though they don't like California, she was AG and you got 34 convictions on your plate. At the same time, they couldn't really attack her on being a woman because basically they've been running women's issues into the damn ground as a party. Excuse me. So now, how do they attack her? You're not black. I'm sorry. You're not a black. I guess it's a black and there's a different black somewhere else. Maybe there's a black in the corner. Look at my black friend right there. You're not black. I knew her a couple years ago when I actually donated money to her campaign. I gave her $5,000 as a campaign donation. The check's out there. And that's, well, she was Indian at the time. I didn't know she was black because she was doing this Indian thing, these Indian causes. And then all of a sudden she became black a couple years ago. Now she's a black. Like, dog, are you fucking kidding me? Look, half of this country is middle. You have your far left leaning, the people that wear the cat tails and shit, and they have the pronouns and they have different hair colors. They're part of the LGBTQ plus minus circle sign moonwalk committee. Then you have the motherfuckers on the right side. America only, America first. If you weren't born here, your mama or your daddy weren't born here, you didn't fight in 4 or 5 wars, you don't got tattoos, you don't wear the American flag and the Confederate flag all over your body, you don't count. That kind of people. Those are the sides who are running this country. Everybody else is in the fucking middle. And we just want a reason to vote for somebody. Likability is the whole damn reason behind this shit. I'm not saying what the Olympics did was right, because that shit was not right. But at the same time, it wasn't about Jesus. It was about a Greek god. The god of festivals or something like that. But the right completely ran with it. Oh, it's offensive. Nigga, it wasn't even about you. And then you have one on the left. When somebody talks and you let them talk, eventually they will tell you what you need to know. A lot of people will say something that you have no clue of what they're talking about. What Donald Trump basically is saying, he has no idea how to run the country. The whole thing about being a president is not really about you. It's about your CEO ability. They're running a campaign now against Kamala talking about, oh, she had the highest turnover rate in her office. Can't use that, bruh. The man literally hasn't had a show. He's literally famous for a show called The Apprentice. His literal catchphrase is, you're fired. There's literally a list of people who he used to hire at the White House who are now all felons in jail and have records. So you can't really use Kamala's ability to fire people unless you're going to bring his up. The only difference between these two people is Kamala will actually be around when it comes time for any kind of climate change bill she passes. I'm very wary on people who say, well, we're going to pass this climate change accord. We're going to pass this energy bill when they're in their 80s. I'm not wishing death upon nobody. I saw the reaper myself on Friday. I don't like that ugly motherfucker. But I'm telling you right now, I'd rather vote for somebody who I think will be around to see the climate change bill that they put up be helpful or hurtful. I would rather have somebody who actually the complaint was too good at her job, putting all these men in jail for weed cases that was against the law, so she was doing the actual law. They tried the whole thing about she sucked her way to the top. Okay, using that argument against the guy who was literally caught on tape saying grab him by the pussy, literally admitting to an assault. The guy who literally paid a porn star. The check went out before he was the president. The countless of you're talking about Epstein. He's the one who's literally on tape dancing with people. Okay. Both sides have shitty things behind them. But when he comes out, maybe this is personal to me. My son is half Indian. Comes out and he literally says, you got to pick one. Either you disrespect your mama or disrespect your daddy. But you got to have one. It gets to the lady who's an HBCU alum, Howard University. Somebody who will be the first HBCU president. Now let that shit sink in. So all you alpha males who Charleston White, I will never vote for a black bitch. But nigga, fuck you. I'm sorry. I said it like that. Is that what you want to hear? F you, man. I don't give a damn about you anyway. You are not affecting my life. I would rather have somebody come in office who actually know what they're doing, can help affect and help the crime rate go down. Because my city crime rate's going up. It has nothing to do with what's going on with Joe Biden. You keep talking about this goddamn wall. I'm being honest with you. This is Texas. That wall will never get built. I don't give a damn who you are. We've had Rick Perry, we've had George Bush, we've had Greg Abbott, all served under Republican presidents, Republican houses, Republican senates. Is that wall built? I'll wait. No, because you cannot convince Texans to give their land up. Also, dumbass, there are treaties down there. Like, we know when the Native Americans were here first, when y'all kicked their ass off their land, drove them to the goddamn desert, y'all made treaties with their ass. So you don't break a treaty. You're gonna what? Dig up ancestral graveyards, dig up Confederate soldiers' graveyards, dig up old towns that are now flooded, dig that up, kick Texans off of their land. The Texans own land on both Mexico and the U.S. side to make it bigger. You're going to put a big ass divide in their land? Here's another question. Who the fuck going to build it? 75% of construction workers in the South are Mexican. I'll be cynical right now. If they build a goddamn wall, it's going to have a 4-lane highway up under that bitch. Laced in pearl with vending machines and gas stations up under that hole. Completely air conditioned out. Kamala even said it. When she went down to the border, they were digging tunnels. So if your biggest claim to fame is you want to build a wall and have Mexico pay for it, first part is you can't build it in Texas because this ain't gonna happen. Texas is too damn big. You try something else. Unless you build that bitch 6 miles in, and everybody who's 6 miles close to the border, y'all ass not annexed by Mexico. Unless you do that shit, ain't happening. So, conclusion. Donald Trump kissed my ass. Charleston White kissed my ass too. I'm looking at it like this, man. I'm voting for the person who makes me not look like a jackass on the international stage. Person who would not come to a black journalism conference and completely insult everybody on stage. Oh, you were late 34 minutes because your equipment sucked. You couldn't afford the equipment right. You people, wait, man, now, you know what? Before I go any further, get my camel counsel, have a great night. I'm out.